to wind down, the work is far from over. Just 7 days after the wet and wild frenzy on the streets of Surfers Paradise, the Champ Cars head north to Los Angeles. Approximately 1 hour east of the home of Hollywood's finest is California Speedway Fontana. The high-speed super speedway plays host to the penultimate round of the year, and no, you don't need a ticket.
I just need one ticket.
You've got the best seat in the house. The CART FedEx Championship Series, the fastest racing on earth. Welcome to round 18 of the CART FedEx Championship Series here at California Speedway Fontana. This massive multi-million-dollar super speedway east of LA plays host to its 6th year of Champ Car action. Someone who'll be still flying high after his maiden win in Australia last weekend is rookie Mario Dominguez.
If I'm happy for someone, it's for the Team Herders competition. They deserve it. They've been at it for years, and I'm happy I gave them the win. Obviously, you know, they did all the strategy, they did all the work, but I'm happy for them, for Del Valle, for Corona, for Televisa, all those sponsors putting a lot of effort and sacrifice into this project. So it's very good for us. It cheers us up. It gets us motivated, and that's what we need. We've had a lot of bad breaks this year.
With only 2 rounds remaining and the championship already decided, the focus now shifts to the race for second. A total of 7 drivers are still in the hunt for the runners-up spot, and with only 14 points from second to fourth, the battle will be intense. And Carpentier's second in Australia last weekend has kept him in the hunt.
We got a bit of a break last weekend. Sometimes you don't get a break, sometimes you do, and we did there. So we didn't have a good weekend up till then, and got the points for second. So I'm pretty happy about that. And I think here the cars are pretty strong, so we got a good shot at winning this thing, so we're going to try that.
For the final oval race of the year, the best really was saved for last. Bruno Junqueira swiftly moved into the top spot with an amazing 231 mile-an-hour lap speed, until yet another Brazilian, Tony Kanaan, who was the final driver to qualify, blew everyone away by going almost a full mile-an-hour faster than Junqueira to claim his second pole of the year.
I have nobody in front of me. I can set the pace, but we'll last until to the first corner, and everybody's going to come over after that. It's going to be a close race for sure. I have good people around me. The 2 of my best friends are in the top 3, including myself, so I think it's going to be okay.
Good afternoon, I'm Lee Diffie, joined by Jeremy Shaw. Jeremy, this is going to be a long haul, but it's going to be a good haul.
It certainly is. I think, you know, we always have exciting races here at California Speedway. I don't think this year is going to be an exception at all. It's just a great atmosphere here. It's a great racetrack. It promotes close racing. Some slight changes to the cars from last year. We saw a record 73 lead changes last year. I don't think this year's going to be any different at all. It's going to be great fun.
Let's talk about weather, because the last couple of days it's been okay, so-so, a little cool. But today we have just a delightful autumn day here in Southern California. 24 degrees Celsius, some slight winds. It is partly cloudy, and as we speak, the clouds are actually coming in more and more from the west. But fingers crossed, it was forecast to rain for this afternoon, but as you can see there, the San Gabriel mountain range in the background, and Mount Antonio there. Really beautiful backdrop to this 2-mile oval. Let's have a look at the drivers' points leading into round 18 of the CART FedEx Championship Series. We know that Cristiano de Mata is the man, and he has got this title. But Jeremy, this is where it's exciting, the race for second. There's something like 7 drivers still up for it.
That's right. Even Paul Tracy there in 8th place can clinch second place by the end of this championship. We've got here, and in 2 weeks' time we go to Mexico City. There's 44 points up for grabs between here and then. And as you see, Paul Tracy could overhaul Bruno Junqueira. Farther down the order, it's very close there as well for the minor placing. So a lot to play for in those final 2 races of the championship. Yes, Cristiano de Mata has already clinched it, but there's a lot more action to come.
Manufacturers' points look like this with Toyota. They've got a very firm hold on things in the 2002 CART FedEx Championship Series, that's for sure. It'd be nice to see Ford get up with a win today to edge closer to Honda? We'll wait and see. And as far as the constructors' situation is concerned, we know that Lola clinched that a couple of rounds ago, and they've done a wonderful job this year, and so too have still the 4 remaining Lola cars in this field. Let's have a look at how they will line up for the 500 presented by Toyota, and it is an all-Brazilian front row. Kanan's second pole of the year, and Tony says that was payback to Junqueira for stealing the pole from him in Japan. And just have a look at the average lap speed, 373 kilometers per hour. Sensational stuff. Back to the second row. Cristiano De Mata, it's his 23rd consecutive top 10 start, and that stretches all the way back to Germany last year. He starts alongside Michael Andretti in the Motorola car, and Michael was very disappointed with fourth. Fourth isn't all that bad considering his qualifying record this year, but he thought he could really get the pole.
Back on row 3 as we get Paul Tracy. He's a series favourite this year, no doubt about it. He's never finished here, though, in a 500-mile race. Alongside him, Jimmy Vasser. He has finished here before. He won here in 1998. Back on row 4 of the grid, the 2 players' cars. Alex Tagliani, he was on the pole here last year, and he finished 3rd in that race. He's going to be a big contender. So is his teammate, Patrick Carpentier. He won at Michigan International Speedway 1 year ago.
Back to row 5, and it's Dario Franchitti and Max Pappas. Franchitti needs a good result today to stay in that chase for second, and Pappas, he's back, replacing the injured Adrian Fernandez, and it's his best qualifying effort of the year. Row 6, Michel Jourdain Jr., he's performed well here in the past, and 11th puts him right in the middle of the pack. Shinji Nakano starts 12th.
On row 7 of the grid is Christian Fittipaldi, the winner here in 1999. Alongside him, Scott Dixon, the 22-year-old New Zealander. Back on row 8 of the grid, Kenny Brack, the 3rd of the target cars. Towards Takagi, he's driving with a cracked pelvis for Walker Racing, doing a good job this weekend.
Back to the 9th and final row, Mario Dominguez. He re-qualified the Jerez competition Ford after an initial run that he was not satisfied with. Came out and they stayed in exactly the same position. And last on the grid for today's race, Oriol Servia and the Patrick Racing Toyota. They seem to have been lacking a little speed for the majority of the weekend, and that seems funny when his qualifying lap was 364 kilometers an hour.
Maybe ultimate speed they're lacking, but overall speed in traffic configuration is very, very different. The grid, the qualifying grid is one thing, racing configuration on these cars quite different.
Let's take a look at the track map. This 2-mile super speedway.
Yeah, and as you see there, they're flat out all the way around here. Turns back at 14 degrees, the front stretch back to 11 degrees, even the back straightaway, in order to give the fans in the grandstands a better view, is banked at 3 degrees as well. It's almost a mirror image of the Michigan International Speedway, and it just creates great opportunities for racing here for the crowd, and it's going to be a great event this afternoon. We're running the Hanford device rear wing on these cars, which is you can get a good look at it there. Is a different wing than they used to run on the super speedways. It's got a flat plank, if you like, across the back of it, which creates quite a lot of drag, and it also just keeps the cars closer together and stops these ultimate speeds. We saw the track record here, well over 242 miles an hour. We've slowed them down, now a mere 232 miles an hour in qualifying.
The circuit analysis looks like this, of course. 18 cars starting as always, 250 laps around the California Speedway Fontana. Now, no shifts. Of course, if they got into a tricky situation, they may need to, but under normal circumstances, they don't. And this is the key point of this race, Jeremy Shaw. 33 laps to the pit window. We're going to see a minimum of 7 stops.
Yes, we are, and I think we're going to see most people keep stretching it to that 33 lap limit, but pit stops are going to be very crucial indeed, and particularly the final pit stop of the day. There's going to be a lot of drafting in this event this afternoon. Going to see some pretty high speeds, and I think we're in for a cracker. We're lining up now on the back straightaway. There is Maurice Nunn, the team owner of Tony Kanaan, and it is Tony that will pace the field up to the green flag, Lee.
And will we see Mo smiling at the end of this one? Remember, yeah, he's been on the pole, he's been on the podium, but Mo Nunn Racing has yet to bring up a win in champ cars. Can it be today with his main man, Tony Kanaan? Kanaan brings them out of turn 4 onto the main straight. The field pack up nicely. Does Jim Swintel give him green? He certainly does. Kanaan leads the field, but look at this. De Mata tucks in behind. Junqueira sweeps wide, and it's Michael Andretti who goes right around the outside. Andretti takes the lead into turn 1.
Look at that tremendous stuff there. And Tony Kanaan, he said in the press conference yesterday after winning the pole, he didn't think he was going to be in the the right place starting from the pole here, because everybody else would get a draft on him down the back straight, and several more ganging up on him there. But it was Michael Andretti, a great start from the outside of the second row to take the lead on lap 1.
He loves to go around the outside of the ovals, Michael Andretti, and he is very, very good at it. That's for sure, as they come around to complete the first of 250 laps here at the California Speedway Fontana. It's Andretti, Kanaan, Tracy, Junqueira. There's jostling all over the place. This is Tagliani going around the high side of Cristiano D'Amato. Thought about it, then thought again. Inside this time, into turn 3. The move sticks for Tagliani. Beautiful onboard camera shots. We ride with Kenny Brack for target Chip Ganassi. Brack sits right towards the back of the pack. 16th he was, first time by.
Yeah, it was. There's an awful long way to go here, and everybody realized this is a 500-mile race, 250 laps around here. It's hard work for the engines. Here we are on board with Max Papis. You can hear him here absolutely, well, almost flat out there. He has a slight lift there coming through turn 2, all the way down the back straight. He'll be getting a draft from that player's car. Let's listen. As he turns into 3 there, just a slight lift because he came up there on that player's car. I think that was Alex Tagliani. He just had to lift slightly to make sure he didn't run into the back of him.
One of the biggest things here you'll hear the drivers say is it is just paramount to stay on that lead lap. That is their focus. Kanaan has got back ahead of Paul Tracy. Then it's Junqueira. Jimmy Vasser has moved up into the top 5. Then Patrick Carpentier. FedEx running order at the top of your screen. We ride with Paul Tracy now. Let's have a listen. He sits nicely, feels confident, Paul Tracy. He surprised himself in qualifying yesterday. Didn't think he'd go as quick as what he did. We rejoin Paul Tracy now. Let's do a full lap of this 2-mile, 3.2-kilometer circuit.
Second lap, that's average speed of around about 223 miles an hour, call it 360 kilometers an hour. We're looking now at Michael Andretti's car. You can see that flat plane across the rear end of that rear wing, and that is a hand-fit device. You can see Motorola written all across it. In the years gone past, that was just a very thin plane on rear wing on the car, tiny little rear wing. Now they've got this this vertical plane in there that creates more drag on the cars, and also because it creates more drag, it doesn't go through the air quite as cleanly before, so the cars are slower through the corners. The added effect of that is when you get in behind that, it creates a big vortex behind the car, big vortex of air. If you get into that vortex, then it really sucks you in there, so you get a huge slipstream effect, just like following a truck on a motorway, on a freeway. If you get in behind a big truck, a big rig, then there's a vortex of air behind that, and if you happen to be daft and on a bicycle or something like that, hey, God forbid, but you even in a car, sometimes when you're behind a big truck, you can feel you're getting sucked in towards the back of the truck, and that's effectively what happens with these rear wings here, and it creates some fantastic racing. The crowd absolutely love it. It's absolutely spectacular to watch, and the drivers are certainly enjoying, I think, the race this weekend. They know it's a long race. They're taking it fairly easy at this stage in the race, feeling each other out, not wanting to push the engines too hard at this stage in the race, but already plenty of excitement for this good crowd here at California Speedway.
Wondering if Alex Tagliani has run into some problems. The Canadian has dropped from 7th back to 9th already, so Papis and Junqueira have been able to force their way through. Meanwhile, Kanaan and Carpentier are enjoying themselves, trading blows, trading a few positions. Kanaan has leapfrogged several now as he moves ahead, and it looks like D'Amato has got ahead of, yeah, he has. D'Amato's hanging in there as well. So the revised order is Tracy Andretti as they come across the line. Vasser's now moved up there ahead of Michael, so he drops back. Then it's Kanaan, Carpentier, that's immediately changed. So plenty of positional changes out there.
Yeah, so I don't think, I wouldn't imagine he has a problem at this stage in the race. I think he's probably just taking it easy. Again, you don't want to push too hard too soon here. As long as you know you've got a good car, then there's no point in running flat out and using up too much in the early stages of the race.
Vassar is now leading this race. The Shell Rahal Ford is in the top spot. There he is, Jimmy Vassar. And again, we highlight that point that it's every 33 laps that you'll see these guys pit. Mandatory pit windows, 33, so we're within 10 laps from that now. Andretti and Tracy go side by side. FedEx running order at the top of your screen. We know how good Vassar's crew are in pit lane. They are lightning fast. To give you an indication of just how quick they were when the Craftsman Pit Crew Challenge runoffs, the finals were done on Friday afternoon here at California Speedway. Several of the teams had several runs. Vassar's crew only needed one run. They were that fast. Barry Green looks on at his driver, Paul Tracy, and incidentally, Tracy was just told to keep it smart, keep thinking smart. There's a long way to go in this one. 24 laps down, we're on lap 25. Vassar, Tracy, Andretti, that's the top three. Ford, Honda. Now Andretti slingshots back to the inside line into turn 3.
Here comes his two Team Green cars. The cool car of Paul Tracy on the outside line there. Michael Andretti on the inside. I think we heard Paul Tracy shifting up probably into 7th gear there. He's coming off that corner. He's had a good run on Michael Andretti. And he doesn't want to use too many revs. It probably goes up into 7th gear. Wouldn't pull quite so many revs. And it saves the engine just a little bit. And you know, the more you can breathe the engines during this race, the better off you are. If you can, and certainly in qualifying conditions, you can run very easily flat out around this place. But by doing that, it's very, very hard on these engines.
Again, fabulous shots on board Paul Tracy's Team Cool Green Honda as he moves back up ahead of Michael Andretti. Just a quick flash there of Jimmy Vassar, our race leader in the Shell Rahal Ford. There goes Jimmy, flashes by, second, third. Tracy, Andretti, Canaan, D'Amato is now ahead of Patrick Carpentier. Junqueira, Pappas is now well inside the top 10 in 8th, approaching this first round of pit stops. Here's that camera angle I was telling you about earlier. This is on board with Paul Tracy.
That is a sensational shot, isn't it, there from right behind the left front wheel of Paul Tracy's car. He comes across the line again and takes away that position from Michael Andretti. These two battling over second place. Jimmy Vassar and a second and a half down the road at this stage. That won't be a concern to anybody. Jimmy Vassar running very consistently their last 3 laps in a row, all at 32.4 seconds. That's an average speed of 225 miles an hour, so a little bit quicker than most of these other guys are going earlier on.
Tagliani's downward slide continues. He is back to 11th and is radioing in. He's got handling problems. We'll need to look at it at the first round of stops.
He's saying the car is just feeling a little bit loose on the car. He doesn't feel he's got quite enough downforce in the car. It's not quite as consistent, particularly when he's running behind another car. It tends to slide around a bit more than he would like. So he's going to take it easy at this stage. Again, a long, long, long way to go. We're going to have to make 7 pit stops at least during this event. There goes Michael Andretti again, gets a run down the inside again. So a good example there, the massive draft that you pick up when you run behind another car. And he just slingshots past him there to the inside. And Paul Tracy again down to the outside. And once again, it's Paul Tracy that crosses the line first that time around.
As we ride with Tracy again. Out of turn 2, down this back stretch. Tracy has just communicated with the team. The car feels great, very stable. And that's indicative of these close passing moves he's been pulling off on Michael Andretti. Lap 30 now, so we're edging closer to that first round of stops. Just some more news from Team Fernandez as well, and as Jeremy pointed out earlier, we hope to have Adrian Fernandez here in the commentary box shortly. That the team have announced that if Adrian is not 100% fit to drive in a fortnight's time at that huge event, the season ender in Mexico City, they will use the services of young Mexican Luis Diaz. Look how close these guys are. Andretti and Tracy, sensational stuff here at California Speedway. So that's a real positive for Luis Diaz. Finished 4th in the Toyota Atlantics Championship this year. and he will be testing that car, I think, at Firebird Raceway, Jeremy, on Tuesday.
Yeah, that's exactly right, at Firebird on Tuesday, you're right, and certainly it's a good opportunity for him. Luis Diaz, a really nice guy who's done a very good job for Doricott Racing this year in the Toyota Atlantic Championship, won a couple of races, was on the pole in Monterrey, Mexico for the very first round, and that's going to be a great opportunity for Luis, at least to get a feel for a champ car, and then if Adrian isn't fit, and certainly that is by no means certain, but at least it will have given him a taste of the champ cars before he's really thrown in the deep end when he has to, if he would have to make his debut at Mexico City.
They'll be pitting this next time by. Andretti has his nose ahead just at the moment. These guys are having a fabulous time out there, running wheel to wheel, side by side. Jimmy Vasser enjoys a 1.5 second lead at the moment, and they will be coming in this time by. Here's Tracy. Now the pit in is very late. It's right at the exit of turn 4. Here they come. Vasser is in, everyone is in. This is right at the end of that mandatory pit window. Every 33 laps here today, folks, at California Speedway. Here's Vasser's Shell Rahal team. They go to work. Let's see some of that fast stuff, guys. That won them $50,000 for the second year in a row, courtesy of Craftsman Tools and the Craftsman Pit Crew Challenge. Vasser's gone. They seem pretty satisfied with that. It's a very long, long pit road here at California Speedway. Massive facility. It's only the 6th year that the champ cars have raced here. The place really still does feel brand new.
Yeah, it does. It's certainly keep it up very well here in Montana. It's about an hour.
Whoa!
Uh-oh.
There's one of those lost wheels.
Yeah, and that's going to bring a penalty, isn't it, for...
Yes.
He's going to have to make a drive-through penalty. Who is that? It's Bruno Junqueira. Oh boy, he was right in the thick of the battle for second in the championship, and that's a big, big mistake. And that is really going to be bad news for Bruno Junqueira. It's going to cost him a lot. The yellow flag is out. That's good news. The bad news is he's stalled the engine, so he's going to need a push start. He's going to lose at least one lap right now. There goes Jimmy Vasser. Great service once again by Team Rahal. And that Bharat Naran and the guys there on the number 8 car, again, showing why they won the Craftsman Pit Stop competition this year.
Let's take a look at the replay. Watch to the right of your screen. Bruno's accelerating out of the box. And wham. Here we go, back to green, and Michael Andretti didn't waste any time in getting right up on the gearbox of Jimmy Vasser and sweeps around the outside again. So Andretti is our new race leader, Vasser second, and Paul Tracy in third. There's a huge margin back to Tony Kanaan running in fourth. Then we get back. Looks like Michel Jourdain Jr. up there. Back up front. Well, we're delighted to say now that after that terrible time in Surface Paradise just a week ago, we'd like to welcome Adrian Fernandez to the international commentary booth. Adrian, great to see you, and how are you feeling at the moment?
I'm feeling better. Every day is a better day, so that gives me encouragement for the next race.
Now, you've got a neck brace on at the moment, and I mean, how's things? I mean, it was some fractures of some thoracic vertebrae, is that right?
Yes, T2 and T3 of my vertebrae are compressed, and they're broken. Not bad, but enough to be able to miss this race. But the pronostics are pretty good for the next race, so, you know, we're doing everything possible to do physiotherapy and everything that the doctors recommend so I can be ready for Mexico.
All right, well, here's the view you usually have. Max is doing a good job so far.
In a different place, but yeah, he's doing a good job, and the car has been pushing, and he makes some changes on the pit stop, and the car is starting to feel good. Something that I'm surprised is that there is not as much drafting that it's been in other years. The hole is not as big.
It was Carpentier that slipped through there on Max Pappas coming through out of turn 4. Adrian, we're approaching lap 50. Your driver, Max Pappas, is sitting 6th at the moment. There's a long way to go, still another 200 laps or just under. I mean, what's the strategy from here? How does Max play this out to stay in a good, strong position?
Well, you just have to be in contact, and that's what he's doing. He's working on the car to make it better and faster, and reading how's the pace of the race, and just have a good car towards the end. And right now he's doing a very good job, and you know, but this is very early stages of the race. You have to take care of the equipment and be there at the end.
But that accident 1 week ago, Adrian, I mean, it looked absolutely terrifying from the outside. What was it like from the inside?
Oh, it was absolutely horrible. You could not see anything, and as soon as we started the race, I knew we were in trouble because the visibility was zero, and you don't know how much throttle to put, and suddenly, you know, you feel a hit on the back, and the whole chain reaction of crash, it starts. For a second, I thought I was fine, and then 3 seconds later, you know, comes Takagi upside down towards my car, and the first thing that I say is, "It's why me again?" You know, I already had my bad one, so unfortunately, or fortunately, I was unfortunate that he went into my car, but it was fortunately that I didn't have much more injuries than what I had, to be honest.
Well, Adrian Fernandez, we did not enjoy seeing you in the predicament you were in last weekend, but it's great to have you here, and we really appreciate the time, and we certainly and sincerely hope to see you in the car in 2 weeks' time. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Adrian Fernandez there, folks, and we really do hope to see him in Mexico City. It's a massive weekend for him, whether he'll be in or out of the car, and he truly is one of Mexico's biggest sporting heroes. That's in Mexico City 2 weeks' time, but this is California Speedway Fontana, and this is Dario Franchitti. The Scotsman moves around in 10th position at the moment, behind Scott Dixon, ahead of Oriol Serbia.
Yeah, and Tracy has slowed right down. I think we're here, there might be an electrical problem, an ECU problem on that car. He's fallen well back from the tail end of the field and is in danger of going a lap down. So clearly a problem for Paul Tracy. There is Paul Tracy. We pan back, you might be able to see Jimmy Vasser. As Tracy comes off turn 4 now, Jimmy Vasser is coming up behind him and closing fast.
Well, we're almost at the 100 lap mark, and every 33, this makes it 99. It's time to come on in, and that's exactly what Vasser, Canaan, and Andretti do. There's Michel Jourdain Jr. in the white Gigante Ford. The 2 Rahal cars running exceptionally well here in Southern California. There's our race leader, Jimmy Vasser. He's in with the fastest pit crew on pit lane. We know that for a fact. How you win $50,000 in the Craftsman Pit Crew Challenge. Nice work from Jimmy and his team. Here's Canaan, came into the pit second. There goes Vasser, your race leader in the background. Canaan's well aware of that. Here comes Jourdain. We could have both Rahal cars up the front of this field, and I think we do. Jourdain did get out in front of Canaan. Sensational stuff from the Rahal team. Oh, and there goes Michel Jourdain. Spins around and onto the grass. He's able to keep it going again. What happened there?
Well, the yellow has come out, and I'm not quite sure why the yellow has come out. I don't think there's absolutely any need for it at all, but Jim Swintoll is down below us. He is waving the green flag. Michel Jourdain did lose it coming out of the pits, but I can't see why there was any need to throw the yellow at that stage, but they have done, and it's certainly bad news for both Shinji Nakano and Mario Dominguez, because they're both a lap down. And here's a replay. We see Jourdain there coming out of the pit lane. He gets off the limiter there, and once again, I talked about it just a few minutes ago, didn't it? How we sometimes see drivers losing control as they come out of the pits or coming into the pits, and that's because there's another spinner as well.
Tagliani. It's all happening after this latest round of pit stops. You ride with the newly crowned champion, the guy who, well, it hasn't been confirmed officially, but is off to Toyota Formula One land. We go green, here we go. Second caution period is done, and Vasser leads the field into turn 1. Look further back, Michael Andretti well placed again and just loves that outside line into turn 1. High and wide outside of Tony Kanaan, but Kanaan keeps that inside line and looks like he may hang on to third. No, he doesn't. Tucks back in behind Michael Andretti. Vasser, D'Amata, Andretti, Kanaan, that's the top 4 at the moment. Patrick Carpentier and Christian Fittipaldi also well placed.
We've had 3 pit stops in the books for everybody now, so if they had any handling problems in the early part of the race, they should have been able to iron those out by now, as we see Patrick Carpentier getting a run on Tony Kanaan on the outside, but the power of the Honda tells, as the power of the Honda also tells that Michael Andretti makes a move to the inside of Cristiano D'Amata. He's not able to make his stickers on the inside line. They're coming through the turn with Michael Andretti, and on the outside line, that's a preferred groove around 1 and 2, and Cristiano D'Amata able to maintain the advantage there. Coming down to turn 3 again, Michael looks to the inside, not really trying to make a pass, but those two, they're running in close position there in second and third. Jimmy Vasser about 8 or 10 car lengths ahead.
Look at Andretti, dives to the inside in turn 1. Tries the different line, and it looks like it has been successful. So Andretti moves now back up into second. Riding with third place, Cristiano D'Amata looking back at Patrick Carpentier, who's now up into fourth, and Tony Kanaan looking for that inside run. and there's been a problem here for Mario Dominguez. Last weekend's winner. What has happened to the young Mexican? Whether the car has simply stopped whilst exiting pit lane. He was in at the same time as Dario Franchitti. But now the Herdez Competition Ford sits motionless at the end of pit lane. The 500 presented by Toyota is now 130 laps old. We are certainly over the halfway mark of this 250 lapper. And there is the Vistion Patrick Racing Toyota of Oriol Servia from last to 10th. A nice effort from the Spaniards. The first shot we've had of him all day, and he has done a very good job chipping away. Wasn't quite up to it in qualifying, but as you can see, it didn't really matter. He's well placed at the moment behind Michel Jourdain Jr., ahead of Kenny Brack, and here come the leaders. Vassar is in. And Damana, look at Damana run right up to the last possible moment to bring it back to that 50-mile-an-hour speed limit. Vassar crosses over the back into his pit.
Yeah, that's interesting that Vassar had to back off there to allow Damana to go down the inside of it. So that would have cost Vassar a little bit of time there because he had to back off, allow Cristiano to go through ahead of him and then turn into his pit stall there. So we'll have to see whether that will pan out in the Newman House team's favour. There goes Vassar. Here comes Damana out of his pit and... ooh,
he's got it.
He has.
Damana has got it. Look at it in the background there. Cristiano Damana has got Jimmy Vassar in the pits. And that was a very, very smart move coming into pit lane from Cristiano Damana. Carpentier gets out ahead of Tony Kanaan. We have several cars still out on track that are not on the same pit sequence. And as you can see there, on the pit shuffle, green means moving ahead, red means dropping back, and Damana, that's the most important one, moves now into the race lead.
Well, Jourdain, Jourdain, of course, having made that another pit stop to change those tyres after flat spotting them a few laps ago, he's going to come out. He's almost a lap down to Cristiano Damana. Boy, it's amazing how much time Damana pulled out over Jimmy Vassar on that out lap out of the pits. He really pulled away a long, long way from Jimmy Vassar. Here is a replay again, and there is Damana poking his nose down the inside, so Vassar has no option but to back off there and allow Damana to go through before he turns into his pit stall.
And here is the fight at the other end when they come out. Vassar on the left, Damana on the right, and the latter wins out. Now Michel Jourdain Jr. comes into the pits. This will hand Dario Franchitti the race lead as we shuffle through those on a different pit window. The Mexican in his 6th start here at California Speedway. Slight change to the front wing, and now he's released. Into the pits comes Alex Tagliani and Bruno Junqueira. What a day for Junqueira. After starting on the front row and starting so strongly after the first round. If you've just joined us, Bruno Junqueira was running at the front of this pack, and when he came in for his first mandatory pit stop, on exiting his pit bay, the rear left fell from the car. The rear left wheel came off the car. It stranded Junqueira in pit lane, and it cost him. He had to do a drive-through penalty, and ever since then he's been at least one lap down. The Tagliani and Junqueira get their latest service. Here comes Dario Franchitti, also due in.
Yeah, gone on a slightly different pit stop strategy to everybody else. So in comes Dario there. The Team Cool Green guys go to work. 4 fresh tyres, a full tank of methanol fuel, and as you can see there, a big change to the front wing. Massive change to the front wing on that car. Looked like they took out about 4 or 5 turns of front wing there. So it's clearly Dario Franchitti not at all happy with the handling of that car prior to that pit stop, and it's a major, major change to that front wing to, I think, give it more downforce on the front end there, and hopefully that's going to make it more comfortable for Dario Franchitti.
Vassar has moved ahead of Cristiano Damana out on track, so the pit lane skirmish was not all that much of a problem for the Californian. Vassar in the shell, Rahal Ford leads again from D'Amato and Michael Andretti. Andretti is up into the second spot now as well. D'Amato has dropped to third. Jourdain is fourth. Carpentier fifth. Canaan is sixth. Pappas seventh. Fittipaldi eighth. Serbia ninth. Franchitti 10th.
Great stuff, that battle there between Fittipaldi, Serbia, Franchitti hanging on there, Dixon not far back either. So that is a battle, a very interesting battle, a very closely matched. Those four cars there. Fittipaldi's leading the pack at the moment. Serbia hanging on right behind it. That's a battle for 8th and 9th. There is Dario Franchitti in 10th, and Kenny Brack actually has just moved past Scott Dixon that time around. Scott Dixon has come onto pit lane. That explains that. Scott Dixon slightly in a little bit earlier than everybody else, a couple of laps earlier. He's in on lap 197. Everybody else should be in next time around. Here we go.
Here's Jimmy. And look at this. Look at Michael Andretti. Storms up alongside. Here we go. The race in the pits for what will be, if they stay on this 33-lap window, which is the mandatory window, and if no one alters that of these front-running guys, this will be the second last pit stop of the race. Staying on that 33-lap window, it will be a 7-stop race. Vassar's release, look at this. Here comes D'Amato. Good work by the Newman-Haas team, but Vassar should have the upper hand. It looks like they're side by side there. Maybe not. Cristiano will have the inside running, and they stick to it. So D'Amato beats Vassar out. Nice work by the Chevron Newman-Haas team to get their man who came into the pits third out in front.
So we saw last time around, there is Michel Jourdain Jr. He's slightly out of sequence with the other guys. He's going to be able to run, 3 laps more before he comes into the pits. Unless there's a caution, that's not really going to make much difference. And even if it does, it's not going to make a huge difference because Michel is still going to have to make another pit stop, the same number as everybody else. But last time we saw, when he stayed out several laps more in clean air, he turned a bunch of very, very fast laps indeed, and he was able to get a lot closer to that lead pack, having made that mistake earlier in the race. So Michel now, last time around there, 32.0, that's a very quick lap at this stage in the race. We're now inside the final 100 miles of this race. 50 laps to go, and here comes Michel into the pits.
Great work by the young Mexican this race. And we keep an eye on Max Pappas' progress as well, because Fernandez, it's an important race to have some success here leading into that Mexico City round, and Pappas has done a very good job standing in for the injured Adrian Fernandez.
And here we go, there's Jimmy Vassar. He's managed to get past Oriol Serbia last time around, and now he drafts past Cristiano D'Amato as well. So that number 8 car, the Shell car, is back in the lead. 36 laps to go. There's one more pit stop to come, but Jimmy Vassar, he's making his presence felt once again. He moves again to the front of the pack.
Interesting stuff with Vassar coming into the pits, and it seems as though he's almost bordering on casual as he enters, where you see the ferocity of D'Amato and Andretti and the rest of the guys as they storm in. We'll wait and see what happens in that final stop. Max Pappas is in pit lane right now.
He's been dropping back a lot the last couple of laps. He's fallen about 7 seconds back from the lead pair. He's coming now to make his final pit stop. He will, it's a couple of laps too soon, isn't it? 35 laps to go, and that's before the pit window. So he must have been struggling there with that car. Clearly something is amiss. They've left the air hose out there, so they're still working on that car. They're working on the back of the car. What a shame. There's something broken at the back of the car, says the crew, and they're going to shut off that engine. What a shame for Max Pappas. He'd been running so well.
Here is the last round of pit stops. This is where it all comes down to. Now it is important to get out in front, because you have to charge home here. There's less than 20 laps to run. Watch in the background for Vassar. Vassar's been released already. This is the last stop, the 7th and final pit stop. D'Amato will get out in front by the looks of it. D'Amato is clearly out in front.
Yeah, he's done that consistently, hasn't he? All afternoon, Cristiano D'Amato has made excellent pit stops, and I think, the fact he's been running behind Jimmy Vassar for a goodly amount of the race has enabled him to save just a little bit more fuel than Jimmy Vassar. That means he can make a slightly quicker pit stop, and that may be panning out for him as well. And also, it seems like he has a great split on those gears, gives him great acceleration coming out of the pit. So Cristiano D'Amato has got a good jump on Jimmy going down the back straightaway.
Servia, who was well and truly in a good points position, but one lap down, he gets released. And it's good to see the Visteon Patrick Toyota still up there. But let's get back to the issue at hand. Can Cristiano D'Amato go back-to-back? He is just 18 laps from home and making it a Newman-Haas hat-trick the last 3 years. Fittipaldi won 2 years ago, D'Amato last year. Who this year, or can Vassar come back?
Yeah, good question there. It's Dario Franchitti. He's still on a different strategy than everybody else. Not really a different strategy. It's the same strategy. He's still going to make the same number of pit stops. He's just out of sequence a little bit. So he's going to come in about 4 laps time, Dario. So he's going to take advantage and lead this race, but he's not really in contention to win it unless there is a caution within the next few laps. But right now he still does lead the race just over Cristiano D'Amato. That is a lap car ahead of Dario Franchitti. So Cristiano is in second place. Jimmy is about 2.5 seconds back down the road in third place. He's going to be trying to close that gap. A very fast lap last time around. Several guys in the 31s. Michael Andretti did a 31.864. That is the fastest lap of the race.
Franchitti charges hard. And now D'Amato repays the favour. 31.7 for Cristiano D'Amato. Fastest lap of the race to the little man. Is he turning it up for this final stint? You betcha.
He certainly is. This is great stuff here. Cristiano D'Amato, he does turn the fastest lap of the race. 31.706 point. That is so quick. That is just about 230 miles an hour. So great running here. Tremendously exciting build-up to the climax of this race. And the gap from D'Amato back to Jimmy Vassar grown a bit. It was now down to about up to about 2.8 seconds. It's just under 2 seconds that time around. So Cristiano lost a bit of time there in the draft of Bruno Junqueira, who is just passed to put another lap down, and now he's behind Dario Franchitti as well. Here comes Dario now. He's going to come into the pits this time around.
Oriol Servia now grabs the fastest lap of the race. 370.
Someone's blown up.
Whoa. It's D'Amato.
Yep.
Cristiano D'Amato will not win back-to-back 500s. Wow.
And is that going to bring out the yellow? Jim Swintel has the yellow in his hand. The car blew up coming off turn 4, but Cristiano did a super job, I have to say, of getting the car off the racetrack. He's pulled off in, I'd say, a safe location there down in turn 1 on the pit apron. Look at it, there's Rocky Rocklin there in the foreground on the left, and John Tuzanakis, who's the team manager, in the background. Look at that, a cloud of smoke. Poor old Cristiano D'Amato. He'd done everything right this afternoon. He'd bided his time. He'd moved up into contention. He'd taken a lead, and he was putting the pressure on at the front of the field, but now it's all gone wrong.
That's it. The day is done for the champion, and that is only his 4th DNF this season. So Jimmy Vassar moves back into the top spot. Michael Andretti is only just 2 seconds behind him, and Carpentier moves up into 3rd, and we've got a full course caution. The yellow is out. Wow.
Wow. Quite sure whether full course caution comes out a couple of laps later. Maybe there's something else out on the racetrack as Kenny Brack comes in to make a pit stop. Shame for Kenny. He might have been able to haul a lap back there if he hadn't come in that time around. If he managed to stay out one more lap, he wasn't, he didn't, he isn't. He's creeping down pit lane very slowly indeed. I think he's going a lot slower than the 50-mile-an-hour limit. So I fancy Kenny Brack might have run out of fuel. He's just limping, coasting into his pit as Cristiano D'Amato begins that lonely walk back to his pit box. He's out of the race.
These laps keep ticking away. There's just 9 laps left to run here at California Speedway Fontana. Jimmy Vassar in the Shell Rahal Ford. Look at Mario Andretti. He's on the cell phone, and nervous moments for Mario. He comes to almost every CART FedEx Championship Series race. Watches his son. We are ready to go green. Let's get set for the restart. Can Vassar take it all the way home? Or will Michael Andretti storm to his 2nd victory of the season? We've got green. It's an 8-lap sprint. And here comes Andretti out of the draft in the Motorola Honda and sweeps around the outside of Jimmy Vassar into turn 1. We did see a repeat. Andretti now leads from Jimmy Vassar. Patrick Carpentier and Tony Kanaan are left to fight over 3rd. They're a little further down the road. Carpentier looks quite comfortable where he is. Vassar, can he come back? Tremendous restart from Michael Andretti. We knew it was going to happen, and it did. Tremendous work by Serbia there in the background. That's not a... he's not dicing there for a position. He is a lap down, but he is in the top 5. Great stuff from Oriol Serbia. Andretti, Vasa, Carpentier, Canaan, Serbia, Fittipaldi. Rather, Dixon has got ahead of Fittipaldi now. And Franchitti is in 8th. Tagliani and Junqueira the top 10. It was the streets of Long Beach here in California earlier this year when Michael Andretti defeated the guy who's right behind him, Jimmy Vasser. It was a tricky situation with a caution and a pace car, and Andretti was in the right time at the right place, and the Motorola team were delighted to take that win. Can Mikey pick up his second for 2002? Here comes Jimmy. You heard his teammate Michel Jourdain Jr. say, our cars are the quickest out there. As Franchitti comes into pit lane, it's been a testing and troublesome day for Franchitti. Downstairs, we've got Cristiano D'Amato. Cristiano, great race today, and sorry to see you out with that blown engine. It could have been yours.
Well, yeah, we ran okay the whole day. We're ready for a shot at the finish. It's just too bad.
We're just seeing pictures at the moment. Cristiano Dario's car is on fire down in turn 4. Dario's okay, but who do you think at the front of the pack? You've been running with these guys all day. What do you think, Michael or Jimmy?
I think for sure the strongest car in the race is Jimmy's car. We'll see how it goes. Now they red flag the race, so we're gonna have a green finish.
Thanks, Cristiano, and we'll see you in Mexico City. Cristiano D'Amato, the newly crowned kart champion, is in pit lane, and he'll be watching exactly what we're watching. Meanwhile, the CART Simple Green safety team in attendance down there, fixing that situation. Look, there is Gary Barnard, race director, and that's where Chris Neifel and all the powers that be in terms of controlling this race. They're just a couple of rooms along from where we're sitting at the moment. Race is red flagged as the cars come into pit lane. We saw this, if you remember, in Vancouver earlier this year. They will come in. They will remain stationary in pit lane. The teams are not allowed to work on the cars. They must stay there as is until the CART Simple Green safety team can get this situation cleaned up. They will do a full and thorough track check, and then we will get underway with green racing, and it'll be a 5-lap sprint. 2 more miles, and we will see a green flag for the shortest sprint to the finish. The order as they stand on track: Andretti, Vasa, Carpentier, Canaan, the 4 that are in this for the win. Serbia is 1 lap down in 5th. Likewise, Dixon in 6th, and the same for Christian Fittipaldi in 7th. Alex Tagliani is 8th and 2 laps down. Junqueira 9th, 3 laps down, and that's where we sit. Franchitti, the last one out of the race, in 10th. He will pick up a couple of championship points, in fact 3 championship points. D'Amato in 11th and Brack in 12th, so they're the remaining points finishers. And hard luck for Michel Jourdain Jr., he's in 13th. No points for Michel. As we get set to roll, when they come around next time, there will be just 2 laps left to run. Vasa really needs to be on the back of Andretti. He needs to try and get closer out of turn 4. Here we go. Green for the final time. It is a 2-lap sprint here at California Speedway. Look further back, and Vasa, he goes right around the outside of Michael Andretti. Numerous people have said that this Shell car is the car to beat today, and Vasa doesn't waste any time in getting around Michael Andretti. He needs to get the break. He needs to run from the Honda of this man on screen, because when they come around next time, it will be the white flag, but Andretti will get a great draft here out of turn 4 as they just about begin their run to home. Jeremy?
Yeah, wasn't that exciting? Is it? Everybody on their feet here. The white flag, there goes Jimmy Vasser. Michael Andretti, he's in the slipstream. Is that going to make the difference between these two? They're speeding into turn 1.
Andretti closes that gap. 3rd is still Carpentier. And Jimmy Vasser has got his ears pinned back, and away he goes. Is Michael Andretti close enough to make a spoil here? Into turn 3 for the final time. The checkered flag is getting ready. It's been 2 years since Jimmy Vasser has won, and the Shell team hasn't won this year. It's all turned around now. Congratulations. Vasser wins at Fontana. Sensational stuff. There's his father. And it's been a long 2 years for the 1996 champion. Vassar wins at California Speedway and brings up the maiden victory in 2002 for the Shell Rahal team. Super stuff. Andretti picks up second, gives Jimmy the thumbs up, and Carpentier picked up the final podium place in third. But Vassar is victorious. Jimmy Vassar, his victory, his first victory for 2002. Michael Andretti, oh so close, and I guess maybe that might be a little payback from Jimmy for what happened at the Toyota Grand Prix at Long Beach. Patrick Carpentier, his second consecutive podium in as many weeks. Canaan, Servia, great run from Oriole considering he started last on the grid. Scott Dixon, a good strong run too. Fittipaldi, Tagliani, Junqueira and Franchitti. Now let's go downstairs with Jeremy. He's with our race winner.
Oh boy, Jimmy, what a day. What a fantastic motor race.
What a great